Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. This is the latest Arsenal news and transfer news as well. There is a lot of backlash after Benjamin Sesko deciding to stay in Germany. Of course, one of those big stories coming out right now is coming in from Dean Jones Soccer, and it says that Arsenal right now are now focusing on Victor Gyokerez and Joshua Zirkzee as the two alternatives that we are looking for to come to the Emirates Stadium. There is also a story also coming out in the last few minutes that Arsenal in the first place didn't want to sign a striker, and therefore the Benjamin Sesko story might end our pursuit for a striker as well. We are back with Glenn for the Cossy and Glenn podcast, happening your way and coming your way every single day. Glenn, how are you doing, and how has this treated you? Benjamin Sesko, whichever way you want to put it, is not joining Arsenal.
It's crazy, but the first thing when I saw that news, the first thing that hit my head was, Cossy say that, because he actually did say a couple of weeks ago that Leipzig are the ones that worry him the most, and I started believing I'm not really worried about Chelsea, not really worried about Man United. The only thing that can happen is him choosing to stay at Leipzig, and if a player chooses to stay there, there's nothing much you can do. You can't say, because there's still some people are saying, okay, you should have hurried with the deal. There wouldn't have been any difference. Leipzig knew that they wanted to, keep him. By the end of the season, they knew I wanted to keep him. They probably had those discussions. So it's a weird one. I wasn't available in that news came out. So I only came back and I was like, okay, well, this is interesting. Sesko is not coming to Arsenal, but it wasn't something that will make you feel like, oh my goodness, Glenn is not able to sleep now that Sesko is remaining at Leipzig. I don't think it's that kind of thing. And it's good. I heard you say on one of your videos that it's good that it has happened early, so that, we just get it done with over quickly before the transfer window opens, and now we can focus on other targets.
Exactly. I want to get your feeling and your reaction. You haven't given us a reaction, not even on your channel. So we are blessed to have Glenn's first reaction to the news. First and foremost, like I said, for me, I am happy that he doesn't join. That gives us now the opportunity to reassess the other targets that we think might be better, Gyokerez, Osimhen, and the others. Secondly, I also think that I'm happy because it's happened early, because it allows Arsenal enough time to go and really work well with the data they have in the transfer window, and getting someone without being under pressure. So how do you feel? Do you think this is a big opportunity missed, or do you think this is just like we missed out on Lisandro Martinez? We have another option, and therefore we will walk into another negotiation room.
I mean, we didn't miss out on him, though. It's not like he went to a different team or anything like that. He decided to stay at Leipzig. So, and it has happened quickly. At the beginning of like a few days after the season had ended, we were talking about other targets. I don't think even anyone had mentioned Sesko by then. My top three was, let's try and get Isaac, or let's try and get Gyokerez somehow. And the third one was, if possible, get someone like a Watkins, but then it's not possible, or, someone like that. But Sesko's never on the list. But we had that, we could actually end up getting him. Now, my thing is, if Arteta do really wanted him, and that's the guy that they really wanted, I'd be like, okay, fine. Most of their signings have been great. If they want to get him, let them get him. I'll be totally okay with that. But if from reports are saying, okay, listen, it's not the main target. He only became Arsenal only wanted him because I mean, it's an opportunity, a rare opportunity to get a striker for 50 million and all that. So if that is the case and he decided to stay at Leipzig, there's absolutely no problem. We still have 3 months to go in the transfer window. There's not too many strikers to get. That's my only worry. There's not too many strikers. Yesterday, Cossy asked me, which strikers would you like to get, which 5 strikers, and I couldn't mention 5.
Yeah,
that's a problem. I don't think there's enough of them unless you start paying 100 million plus for Isaac and Osimhen and Gyokerez and all those guys. But if you're trying to get a striker for 60, 50 million, I don't think it's even possible. Even Solanke is 65 million, So it's not, I don't think you can get anyone in that price range of what Sesko would have been or someone like that. I think it's very, very difficult to get a striker in terms of that. So for me, I'm happy it's done quickly before the transfer windows opened. Now I don't really have to watch Slovenian games in detail at the Euros. Now they can lose all 3 games if they want. If they want to go to the final, that's their own problem. Not really bothered, but yeah. We have to now, go on and see which other targets are available. And it's actually good. It's a relief to hear that they didn't really want him that much, because if it's a main target, then it kind of hurts you. Now, Mudryk was the main target, but you ended up getting Trossard. We haven't really felt it up until now. You might end up feeling it. We now don't know how good of a player would have been at Arsenal, like you said on all your videos. So there's absolutely no problem. But for me, totally fine with everything how it has gone. Get it done early. Let's go in for other targets.
Right. Now, back in the news, guys, is Victor Gyokerez. This is according to, again, CBS journalist confirming that Victor Gyokerez is now among the priorities, back among the priorities, which means that he never went away. The Arsenal looking at in terms of alternatives. Obviously, they looked at Sesko as a rare opportunity on the market. They looked at him as a player that, if he's available, you've got to go and get him for 65 million euros. That's around 55.3 million pounds to be accurate. But Victor Gyokerez is one of the two players Arsenal are now turning their attention to. However, before we get into Victor Gyokerez, I would love to say that his price tag is a little bit bigger than that of Sesko, and that is why Arsenal had potentially thought you go for Sesko because it's cheaper and he's also really an international talent, like a big talent. But also Gyokerez has always been there. Fabrizio has confirmed before that Arsenal have scouted him for quite some time. Let's start there, Glenn. Alternative Gyokerez. I think that's okay for me. How about you?
Gyokerez was my, after Isaac, Gyokerez was my other option, and I knew Isaac wasn't going to be, 180 million is that's crazy money unless you're buying Mbappe. So Gyokerez was my first on the list, mainly because. Not only because of the goals he scored, it's not easy to score 40 plus goals, whichever country you're playing, but also getting around 15 assists or something crazy like that. Those are incredible numbers. Double figure goals, double figure assists. I think those are really, really good numbers in terms of a striker. And that is what I would probably be looking for. Someone who can score goals and also someone who can be a team player and assist here and there. So I was like, listen, this guy, we talked about him a lot before we started getting into Sesko. We talked about Gyokerez for like a full week, and you're like, yeah, this guy's an incredible finisher. His shot power is great. He can score with his left foot, with his right foot. The kind of goals he's scoring, he can score those poacher goals. He can dribble. He can run in behind. I think that's a really good striker. Now, the thing is, people will say it's only one season and all that, but even if it's just one season, I don't think it's easy to get 40 plus 50 was almost 50 goal contributions. I think more than that in one season in all competitions. That is not easy. And then the Europa League, he's been scoring there as well. He's been playing against teams from different countries as well. And that's a player that a lot of people would want. If Sporting said, okay, today we are selling him for 70 million, you'd hear Bayern want him, Arsenal want him, you might even hear FC Porto in their country want him, and all that. And that would be the signing. Now, the only issue is he's gone through a surgery that will keep him out for 6 to 7 weeks, and it's a knee surgery. Now, we get a PTSD when it comes to knee surgeries because of Jesus. We don't really want 2 or 3 strikers or three different players who have the same problem with the knee. But if it's just a one-off thing, and then he's back again and he's ready to go again without any more injuries, then that would be fantastic for us. But the money, all those players are 100 million plus. We might have to change the strategy. We don't know. I feel like the media does guess sometimes. No one really knows what they do that I really want. They might want to keep it private. I'd not want to believe, because that at the end they do not know what they're looking for, that they're confused, that they're not really sure which kind of which.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I love that.
I've also had people saying, we've been linked with so many different styles of play. Do they really know what we finished second on the table? I'm pretty sure they know what we need in terms of covering those 2 points. I don't think I'm just going to do something for you like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do now? I don't think so. I'd like to believe now. So if there's a signing that's in the back door and no one knows about it, and we end up signing them, I have no problem. The thing is, yes, it's great to talk about these players and everything, but if they get the signing done, that is the most important thing. If you get the signing, whether we know about it or not, whether Fabrizio reported it or not, there's absolutely no problem, as long as they have something in the bag. Whether they get them on June 11th today, or they get them on June 30th, absolutely no problem, as long as it's before preseason. I still believe there's 2 players who are going to join us before preseason, maybe one during and maybe one after preseason. That's what I'm thinking. We're going to get at least 4 players. So I'm pretty sure they know what they're doing. We didn't really miss out on Sesko. Sesko decided to stay at Leipzig. If he had gone to a Chelsea because of money, you didn't pay the release clause, then fine. But Gyokerez would be a good opportunity. If he does recover from that and then is available, he'd be great. We might have to change our plans, whichever plans they had, in terms of maybe balancing the money, 50 million here, 40 million here. There's not too many cheap strikers. We might have to splash money for the striker. But again, as I always say to Cossy, I don't think strikers are our biggest problem. I'll keep on saying that. I want us to keep improving in the team. I want us to get a striker, but I want a midfielder first. And then any striker that becomes available, we can get them. I still believe even without a striker, we'll get 90 plus goals. But to compete with Man City, you have to keep on improving. So I want us to get a striker.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the problem with his knee. I think that is one of the reasons why Arsenal might feel he's not immediate priority. Maybe he's second to Zaxi. We're going to get your reaction to Zaxi as well, because he's another player I've 100% completely written off in my recent stream. I just told the guys I am not in for Zaxi. I am not. Do not count me among the people that are backing Arsenal to go for Jesus Zaxi. I'm not in that camp. But before we get in there, apart from the knee injury, I think his price can be negotiated down. His price can come down. I don't think Sporting Lisbon are 100% sure at the same level as Leipzig that they don't want to sell. They want to keep for another season. The reason as to why they are saying it's 85 million pounds or no deal, it's because they're looking at the market and they're like, we think we have the premium. We think we have the best striker on the market right now, in terms of what he has done in the recent season. Like, he's done Kane numbers, he has done Robert Lewandowski numbers, he has done even the likes of Karim Benzema. You could say they never did, such numbers. And I don't really care where this guy has done. When you look at the whole career of Karim Benzema, he's been in the French League One before. They didn't do these numbers. Like, it's crazy. So Sporting will feel a little bit braggative. They will feel a little bit, they'll play the hide and seek. But as the window moves on, like you've said, striker is not even the real priority at Arsenal. We can start a new season without a new striker. We can go into August without a new striker and then maybe sign him inside the season. So I think if we let this one play out for Victor Gyokerez, the price will come down to 70, 75 million. And I think that is not far away from what we are willing to pay for Sesko. Do you think there is a reduction in quality, though? Because I mean, Sesko definitely one of the players that Arsenal have been crazy about. Is there a reduction or an increase in quality between those two? If you went for Gyokerez right now, would you say we've got more quality, less quality?
More quality in terms of what I want. Goal scoring, just someone who's going to come and score goals. I think that is he probably scored triple or more, quadruple the number of goals Sesko scored last season. To be fair, Sesko didn't play every single day, but Gyokerez is the kind of player I'm looking for, someone who can score 7-8 games in a row. I still try to think about that when you talked about it in terms of players scoring in consecutive games. I can't remember the last Arsenal player who scored in like 6-7 Premier League games in a row. It might even be a Giroud or something. It might be a long time ago, maybe Alexis Sanchez.
I think it's Giroud. The last run we had, I think it was Olivier Giroud at the beginning of the season where he went like, it was between 8 to 9 games.
And it's not easy to get strikers like that, but that is something we never had. I don't even think Aubameyang managed. Like I said, to rarely even score 3-4 games in a row. Now I feel like someone like a Gyokerez, he can come and score for you 9 games in a row. The kind of player who, if you win 5-0 and he doesn't score, he's not happy because he wanted to score. But as we've always said, the Arsenal players, I love all these Arsenal players. Since I started supporting Arsenal 20 years ago, this is the best team that I've seen, like the most connected I've felt to a team in terms of basically from goalkeeper to coach to front players to set piece coach, everyone. But the thing is, I think if we win 4-0 and Havertz doesn't score, I don't think it's too bothered. I've gotten an assist. We've won the game. I'm happy. Same with Saka, same with Odegaard, same with Martinelli. But we don't really have, even Jesus, the striker that we have. I don't think if he doesn't score, if he gets 2 assists, I think he'll be happy in a game. Actually, the closest to someone who really wanting to score, I feel like it would be someone like Nketiah. I think Nketiah would really want to score, even if we win 4-0 and he doesn't score. He feels like he wants to score. But we don't really have anyone who wants to score every single game. Yes, it would be great if they score every single game. Everyone wants to score. But if they didn't and we won the game, they wouldn't be bothered. But I feel like someone like a Gyokerez, if he won a game heavily and he didn't score, it'd be an upgrade. And the Sesko numbers in terms of if I feel like it's a downgrade on upgrade. For me, I wanted Gyokerez before Sesko. He would be
So it's an
more
upgrade.
expensive. He's had a season with 40 plus goal contributions, close to 50, maybe even more than 50. Of even his numbers are even confusing because he scored so many for Sporting, and he didn't only do it in the league. He did it in the cup. He did it in the Europa League. So he's done it before. He's done it in England before for Coventry. There's a goal. If you search for his goals for Coventry, there's one that is scored against Stoke away from home. Completely different kind of goal. It was a throw in. He got it in the corner flag, and then he dribbled to the outside of the box and then shot it. So I'm like, out of nowhere, no one expected him to shoot the ball, and he scored, and you're so happy about that. So a player can also get you a goal from nothing. If the game is 0-0 and a player can get you one goal, I think Gyokerez can do that for you. Now, Sesko would have come in and play as a winger sometimes as well. I think Gyokerez would just be a centre forward, and that would benefit us. I don't think we've really had a centre forward since probably Lacazette, and Lacazette wasn't really that 25 goal a season striker. Aubameyang was playing on the wing, but probably was our best striker the last few years. But he was also playing on the wing, and Giroud was missing a lot of chances. You have to say you have to go back to Van Persie.
Yeah. Now, just the second alternative. We're not going to discuss alternatives. I mean, stories will be coming out and we will be breaking them down for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Joshua Zirkzee has now come out as one of the leading names in that position for Arsenal. Like I said, this has come from two very reliable journalists. One at The Guardian, Ed Aarons, and then the other one, Charles Watts. So both of them in the recent few hours have said Arsenal are now set to step up their interest in Joshua Zirkzee, and they believe they can get ahead of the AC Milan, AC Milan camp to sign Joshua Zirkzee because of because of Kia Jorabchin and his demands. So the problem with this deal, I reported that AC Milan were very close to getting Zirkzee, but this is what's happening. Yes, Milan are willing to trigger the release clause of the player, which is £34 million, and they're also willing to agree personal terms with the player. There's no problem there. The problem is that the agent of the player, Kia Jorabchin, is asking for 15 million in terms of agent fees. That is absolutely insane. And Milan are saying we're not giving you more than half of what we are paying for the player. So that is where the problem is. Obviously, if you know Kia Jorabchin, the Coutinho deal, that is the guy that was in those deals, and he was a very major figure around around Brazilian talents around Europe, Barcelona, Arsenal times as well. So Zirkzee, we have a problem here. First and foremost, how much do you like him in terms of an alternative to Sesko? And secondly, that would be a total of 50 million if we paid Jorabchin 15 million and we triggered his release clause for around 35 million.
Is the agent coming?
We should do.
Is the agent coming to play as well?
I mean, that's what I'm asking. Why is he asking for more than half of what we are paying for the guy?
That is crazy. I would not pay for Zirkzee to pay the agent 15 million. I would not do that. If it was someone like an Osimhen, even an Isaac, then you can understand because that is a big deal. But no, now would I like Zirkzee at Arsenal? Not as the main striker. If we sign someone like a Zirkzee, it means he's going to be on the bench for sure. It's going to be Havertz starting the games and Zirkzee coming on, and that's not really what you're looking for. If that is the case, if you're looking for a backup, we might as well just stay with Havertz and Jesus and keep on playing the way we've been playing and try and improve other positions. Yeah. The reason I want to strike is not because Arsenal are desperate for a striker. It's because I feel that is one of the few positions we've never really tried to get an outstanding player in that position. So I want us to try and see if we get a striker like Isaac and we still don't win the league, then we can try now and improve one of the winger positions. You have to keep on going. There's no guarantee we can get 96 points next time and still get 97 and you still lose out. But you can't give up. You have to keep on going. Now, if you are getting rid of Jesus and also getting rid of Nketiah, and then you told us, okay, we have this certain replacement for Jesus, 50 million striker, whichever it is, and we are also bringing a backup for this new striker. Zirkzee is the answer. You're going to bring him as a backup as well. We are now signing two strikers. I'd be okay with that. Absolutely no problem. He scored goals for Bologna. I've watched him a couple of times this season. There's one particular game I watched him, was it against Genoa or Torino, one of those guys, and he's absolutely incredible. But in terms of the main striker, the pressure, if we were competing for top 8 and top 5 like we were 3-4 seasons ago, then we would be over the moon. Like, we'd be so happy that you're bringing in someone new wherever he is. Zach, they'd be so happy. But the levels we are right now, the levels you're trying to compete with, you're looking for 90 plus points. You have to go on to the next level. If you're bringing in Zach, you might as well just keep Havertz and Jesus there. I still don't want Jesus to go anywhere, because you can see how hard it is to get players, even if it's not a player who's going to score goals, just a striker in him. It's going to be very difficult. So I see why they would go for the cheaper ones, because there's not too many. I've seen a shout for Jimenez from Richard. That's a good shout in the chat. There's not too many. There's not too many strikers you can get. You can say Feyenoord striker Jimenez. You can say striker from Girona. You can some would even say, let's get Solanke. He's scored almost 20 plus goals in the league. Get him. People will say that, but there's not too many strikers now. Zaxi, backup, yes. Main striker,
no.
I don't see a main striker. Mansky, Arsenal, nil-nil.
And also, still, Glenn, when you sign a striker right now, you're considering the future of Gabriel Jesus. You must have the future of Gabriel Jesus at the back of your mind. If right now he stays and you bring in Zaxi, that might not look very bad. But what is actually going to look bad is when he doesn't work out, Gabriel Jesus, and then you let him go maybe in the next summer, and then you're left with Kai Havertz and Zaxi. That is where you're back to square one.
Yeah, if someone like a Zaxi joined in 0-0 Man City Arsenal, would Zaxi be the guy to come on, score the winning goal for us? I'm not sure.
I mean, Origi did do things for Liverpool, but that is the miraculous kind of clutch player. I don't think we are looking for miracles right now.
But you'd never ever see Origi starting 5 games in a row for Liverpool.
Yeah,
no chance. As a backup player, yes, but as a main player, that is a problem. But I understand why they'd go for those players, because of budget, and also number 2, there's not too many strikers you can go for. Unless you have 120 million to spend, there is not too many strikers you can go for, and those strikers might have to like want to join Arsenal. They might want to come to the Premier League, want to maybe play as a backup, and maybe another reason why people really might not want to come to us right now is because of they're not sure that they're going to definitely play. That's the thing. So they're like, okay, I don't really want to be a backup. But if you're telling I really want Jesus to stay at Arsenal, now if you tell me Jesus is leaving and you're bringing in Zaxi, you'll just completely be breaking my heart completely.
100%. So guys, talk to me in the comment box below. If you want Zaxi, say type yes in the chat. Just type yes. We have over 90 people watching. If you want Zaxi, type yes. If you don't want Zaxi, type no. It's as simple as that. If you want any other striker, just type the name in the chat. I just want to monitor how many people want Zaxi and how many people don't want Zaxi on this channel. We always have ours, and we have Glenn on the channel now. So we can have the war in the chat. We are not going to absolutely, discuss ourselves. We always have ours. We have had the one on Benjamin Sesko, and I'm happy to say that I've won that one. Sesko is not signing. Whoever really said, "Oh, Cossy, you don't know football," Sesko, what? He's not coming anyway, right? So I've won that one. So type yes for Sesko for Zaxi if you want him, and type no if you don't want him in the chat. Now, Glenn, alternatives have been discussed. However, Team News Antiques has come out as one of the very interesting accounts this summer, and he has been giving us reliable updates here and there. He's made his way onto the Charles Watts channel as well, and I thought, he's kind of a reliable outlet until he said this. He has said that Arsenal we're not considering signing a striker in this January transfer window. In this summer transfer window anyway. Sesko was just a rare opportunity that Arsenal thought they would take advantage of. Now that it has moved on, now that boat has sailed, it looks like Arsenal says Arsenal will not sign a striker this summer. They will not sign a centre forward. They look at a centre forward next summer, and that is over. So Arsenal will now look at a midfielder, they look at a winger, and they look at a left back. Do you honestly think that this deal has sailed on? Like, we are not saying a centre forward.
No, maybe the media does not know about any centre forwards that you are clearly linked to.
Thank you.
But we might get someone in, like maybe they're discussing someone that we don't know about. Yeah. I don't think, if you look at this Arsenal team, there's not too many positions you can improve, because I'm pretty sure Arteta wants to start White next season, maybe Tomiyasu. I think center backs, they're okay with Gabriel and Saliba. Yeah, left back, Timber might start, but they might want a new one. So let's say that is one position.
Yeah.
Rice is definitely a starter. Odegaard is definitely a starter. Saka is definitely a starter. Martinelli, Trossard, I think one of them is going to start next season. So the only positions where we are not sure is left back, defensive midfielder, and striker. There's not too many others. And for the fans, we all want Partey to stay, but we're still not sure if he's going to stay. So that's why we are hearing Arsenal want a left back, a central midfielder, and a striker. If they don't get a striker, unless they have something incredible for us, like they go and sign Liao, and then they're like, okay, we've signed Liao a wing, and now we have other ideas for the strikers. I think people will be like, okay, let's see what they're cooking. If they're getting Liao, even if you don't get the striker, let's see what they have in mind. But there's not too many positions you can improve right now. Striker is only one of them. I'm not saying Havertz is a bad player. I'm not saying Jesus is a bad player. I want both of them to stay. I'm one of the biggest fans of Jesus. But in terms of, just having a different option there, you can play Havertz tomorrow. You can play that striker the next day. You can play both of them together up front, just different tactics, to the point of, if you had like a 40-goal season, striker would have scored 100+ goals next season. Chef would have scored 8 past Sheffield, 8 past Burnley, like all of those guys, because we know you can create chances and we know you can score goals. We know Odegaard has created 102 chances last season, but he only had like 10 assists. So that means there was like 92 chances missed or something. So if a striker would come to that team, they would definitely, enjoy themselves. So I'd like to imagine they want a striker, but not as a priority. I'd still say maybe I feel like I can work with Arteta. I feel like Arteta is like me, because for me, I want a midfielder fast. So I feel like he wants a midfielder, but I also feel like he wants a left back fast. I think he's not a defensive coach, because he still score a bunch of goals, but I think he really loves to control the game.
He prefers to organize his team from the back.
Yeah, to basically control the game and all that. So he wants to suffocate teams, as they said. So if we kept 18 clean sheets, he wants it to be 25 next season. And then we also have different midfield options and then strikers. Now, it depends. Next season could go the same way the last season went. We could have Havertz having a bad spell, Saka having a bad spell, but maybe they're also banking on they're not going to have that bad spell again. This time, you're expecting Saka to be hitting the ground running from the first day. You're expecting Havertz to be scoring from the first day. We're expecting Martinelli to have a better season. We're expecting Jesus to have a better season. Because if Martinelli and Jesus were great last season like they were 2 seasons ago, I think we win that league, because there's games there that they were missing and they weren't available and all that. If they were available for some games, they would have been there. There's games like Luton away. Jesus was incredible, Luton away. Like, there's 3 out of those 4 goals came from him. And Nottingham Forest, the opening goal basically came from Jesus' quick thinking. Bayern Munich and all that, the equalizer, they all came from Jesus. So there's something there. But in terms of them not getting a striker, I think they want to get a striker, but we don't know about it. It depends.
I think it's what the media and many of the media personnel don't want to agree right now, that Arsenal have locked them out at this stage, and they just don't have enough to report about, like compared to Chelsea, like compared to Man United and all these other clubs.
Also,
Arsenal have just looked them out.
I also don't want us to look desperate in the market, because Arsenal is not desperate for a striker. No. Yes, we want a striker, but we don't want to show the other team. I
don't think Arsenal are desperate for any position, really. Really.
The word is not desperate. I'm sure even if we didn't sign anyone, we'd still finish in the top 2. It'd still be hard to finish above Man City. But even if we didn't sign anyone at all right now, I still think we finish second, at least on the table, not 4th or 5th. So there's players there who can still do something. But we are competing with Man City, so we need to go to the next level against them. So it's so hard to predict, because it's so hard to know what you're going to do this summer transfer window. But let's see how it goes, man. I'm still confident they're going to get someone. If they get a striker, there's not too many strikers who are available. That's the thing. So if they want to keep it private and get someone, you don't want to, make it public, and then you get on a bidding wars, as I heard you say, and then teams want him and they want 100 million. Because when teams know you're desperate, you're going to have to pay a lot of money. But if teams know, however, they didn't even really want Sesko. They were just trying because he's available. They don't really need them. They have 90+ goals in the team still.
Actually, a report today has suggested that Arsenal missing out on Sesko doesn't mean that they will definitely jump onto another center forward, but they might focus on getting a winger rather than an out-and-out number 9. So do you think that the lack of quality strikers on the market right now Do you think the Arsenal might actually just consider going for a winger, maybe a left winger, a right winger, and would that be to your satisfaction?
They could go for a wing and stuff like that because there's not too many who are available. The strikers who are available are 100 million plus. So the question, we go back to the original question that we asked a couple of weeks ago: would you be happy just getting a striker and no other position? Then it
No.
depends. If that is what you want, then you can go and get Osimhen or Isaac or someone and forget about the other positions. But if you also want a backup wing and you also want a left back and you also want a midfielder, some people want a centre back, some people want a number 8. It is not going to be easy to get all that. Like, for example, a simple saying, let's get Bruno Guimaraes and Gyokerez is not possible. 210 million for 2 players, it's not possible. You have to, that 200 million, if you have 200 million, you're going to have to balance it out to between like 5 players because you also need a backup goalkeeper and all that. So would I be satisfied if they only got a wing and no striker? I mean, if it's someone who's going to, it depends on the wing. If someone like Olisa who's coming to compete with Saka on the right, or you're getting Nico Williams or someone like that, I'd be like, I mean, we're going to create more chances. If there's more goals, if you're adding more goals in the winger position, like Mane in his prime, where you're scoring goals as a winger, if you're getting someone like that, I'd be like, okay, because there's not too many strikers who are available. But I still want us to just get someone who really wants to score goals. So I'd say probably not satisfied now.
Yeah, it wouldn't satisfy me at all because now I'm on a very different page uh, than Glenn, because Glenn thinks that a striker is not a pressing issue. I think a striker in that squad is a pressing issue. You get him in that team. Doesn't matter how many games he starts. Doesn't matter how many games he plays. As long as he can create that different, environment, that different impact, I would definitely have a real striker with real striker education. So I want a striker. I want a winger. I said I would spend 80 million on a winger. I would spend 40, 50 million on a striker. And I'm not really changing my mind. And I'm only listening to Glenn because he says strikers that are cheap are not available. And I'm looking at the market and I'm like, yeah, that is probably the case. So I don't think Arsenal are really just looking at a winger. I think I'm going to go with Fabrizio's first reporting. Arsenal want a centre forward, that is priority. Arsenal want a midfielder, that is priority. At least those two, that is the communication I'm going to go with because I know Fabrizio has always been consistent through and through. Now, we are working in silence, and this is something that has actually given me a lot of hope. Amidst all the fallout, amidst all the talk that Arsenal probably don't know what they're doing, they are not yet sure which striker they want, what kind of positions they want to do. The more reliable sources are saying that Arsenal are really working in silence, and they prefer to work to get their deals done in secrecy rather than out there like we did, the previous deals. First and foremost, for you, is this possible? Because I look at it as a very difficult task. Of course, we've done it with the likes of Fabio Vieira. Is it possible? And secondly, as a fan, would you prefer your team working in silence, or would you prefer to have a few bits and pieces, in terms of updates? Not as a content creator, just as a fan.
Oh yeah, as a fan, I just want it to be absolutely private. Then as we used to wait for Sky Sports back in the day, just hear, okay, is this guy, certain strikers arrived for the medical? That's all I'd like to see, that, because we don't want teams to try and hijack. We don't want teams to try and, some teams actually don't even usually want players. They just wanted to end up paying more. So they would say, oh, you're interested, you're ready to pay 50 million as well. And then you bump it up to 60 million. Then they let you have it to, spend that extra 10 million for no reason. And the other opposition team will be like, there's other teams who want him. So I'd like it to be in silence, without anyone knowing, without the journalists knowing and all that. But it's very difficult, the kind of world we live in right now, unless it's a very, like, there's no way you can sign Osimhen in private. There's players like that. There's no way. That's too big of a player to sign in private. I don't think you'd even get someone like a Gyokerez in private. You can end up getting, all of a sudden, Arsenal have bought Mateta for 25 million from Palace. That can be done in private. People might not know about that. But in terms of the biggest strikers, I don't think it's easy at all to do it without people knowing about it. So, but there's always another chance of hearing about it at the very end when it's very close to be done. And they're like, oh, Arsenal have been discussing this deal for the last 2 weeks. In case you don't know, I really trusted Dwayne Ateta already. They got me Rice, and the reason why I came to videos and I was like, Rice will definitely join Arsenal ahead of Man City. People are like, are you crazy? Why would he join Arsenal ahead of Man City? but he did. So right now, I feel like they definitely have something. They were only 2 points behind Man City. We were one goal away from the Champions League semi-final, so we are so close. I'm pretty sure they know what they're doing, but we might not get it done within the next couple of days. But at least 2 signings before the preseason.
Yeah. Now, for me, I'm gonna say this. I think working in silence when you are the caliber of Arsenal is not easy. However, what Arsenal could do is what Real Madrid do. Madrid really do work in secrecy and silence, but by the time you don't see a lot of Real Madrid rumors, especially apart from Kylian Mbappe. So you look at the Jude Bellingham story. When we had two updates from Real Madrid, we knew he was going there definitely, and we knew that Madrid were 100 million steps ahead of everyone. It's the same thing with Aurelien Tchouameni. It's the same thing with Eduardo Camavinga, and it's happened with Joselu. The moment they say, Madrid are looking at Joselu, the next update, Joselu will be a Madrid player 2025 to 2026. I think Arsenal could do that. That would be, massively interesting. Lastly, as we come to the end of the episode, thank you so much, guys, for watching. And those who have hit the like button, you're absolute legends. Again, an update told us today that Arsenal never even thought about signing a player in June or doing any business in June. They thought of signing players later in the transfer window in July and August. This is coming in almost 30 days later when the likes of the Independent reported that Arsenal would love to get their deals done early and quickly. And the same accounts that are reporting that Arsenal really didn't want to do transfers in June never said anything about that when we were talking about Sesko. So do you think we are not going to see June signings because of Sesko and the failed deal? Or do you think this is just media frustration and just a few days later and everything will come back to normal and will be linked with some other good targets again for June?
Just media frustration, and it reflects on the fans as well.
Yeah.
Most fans believe in what the media is saying. So if someone comes right now and says Arsenal, they're about to just no, they're not going to sign any on this transfer window. People are going to 100% believe it. Now, it's also a myth when people say Arsenal are very slow in terms of doing deals. Yes, we were. I used to hate it. I used to hate playing.
I mean, there was a whole window where we signed Peter Cech
only, and we waited for the whole window and he didn't get anyone else. There's a couple of other windows where he waited to lose games and then we rushed to buy Ateta, we rushed to buy Matasaka. There's a time we also bought Sanogo like after we've lost games. But the last 2 years, that has not been the case because people usually complain about Arsenal is too slow in terms of making transfers. But if you look at the last 2 seasons, which team has been, we got Rice very early, and then the July and August, we were looking at Liverpool and Chelsea fighting for Lavia and Caicedo up until the end of the window. We are looking at Man United trying to get Anthony through the line on deadline day. Like all of those players, like all of those other teams take it to the final day. But these days, we actually don't even see deadline day signings for Arsenal. These days, deadline day is usually boring for Arsenal fans. Like usually know there's nothing that is going to happen. It's already happened, everything. We're not going to really sign anyone else on deadline day. So we usually try to do deals early. So that's why I believe that, the media doesn't know about it, but we're still definitely going to get a couple of players before the preseason. And they know, like, getting into this team right now, I don't think you can join this team 2 days to the Premier League and then you just start the game. You have to train with the team. You have to know the set piece routines. You have to know like something small, like the way Saka runs like from the touchline to inside, and then Ben White gives him the ball, and then Saka drives into the midfield. Like such small things. When I had Atisa speaking about it and all those guys breaking it down, I was like, this is crazy. You cannot just join this team and play those little things. You have to know where Ben White is going to do this, and where Havertz is going to make this run, and where Martinelli is going to make this run. You have to know all of those things. So I'm sure they know they want to get deals done early. And I think if you were to ask him, he'd say he'd prefer to get all the signings done in June, even before July and August. So I think they would get. The only thing is, though, not everything is in your control. There's international tournaments going on. Teams will reject your first bid. You can just go and pay 300 million so that you get the player. So those things that are out of your control, I guess, will make it take time.
100%. Augustine says yes to Zaxi. And he says also hi to you, Augustine. Angela says, let's go for Victor Gyokerez if the deal is possible. Big up to you, Okello Joel Boy, in the comment box below. Ayuba says, trust me, if Arsenal are to win the league next season, we have to sign a player like Nico Williams, John Neves, Olise, and Victor Gyokerez. Second says Victor Gyokerez. And he says no to Zaxi. Calvin says let's give a chance to other young players like Mika Biereth. Glenn, what do you think about? I'm not going to even say because we've done an episode on Glenn's podcast, um, diving into the young players. But what do you think about those young strikers that people are saying they should be given a chance right now?
We should have seen the reaction to Obi. I was dying of laughter in the morning. People like when I posted that video, people are like, "Oh my goodness, you're not signing. Obi is leaving. Arsenal is finished. Get it out.
Yeah.
Obi is not going to be. It's funny. I mean, yes, he's got a credible number of goals, but if Obi left Arsenal today, it's not going to be the end of Arsenal. Let's be honest. But I'd like to see him stay, though. It's not easy to get a player who's going to score 10 goals, 7 goals, 6 goals, a hat trick on his debut. It would be great. Now, I think you can give most of our team is young anyway. As Cossy pointed out in that video, teams like Man City still have a lot of experience in the team. So if they bring in Bob, they still have De Bruyne there, they still have Bernardo Silva there, they still have Ruben Diaz there. Now, for us, it's very different. If you have Martinelli and Saka, young players, and then you throw in Nwaneri and Biereth, that's an extremely young team. You're talking about an average age of like 19 or something. But if you had experienced players, if you had Jorginho starting, and then you had Havertz starting, and then you had, I don't know, a couple of other experienced players, maybe not a Martinelli or Saka, then you can throw in players like Nwaneri. So it's not possible to have 3 or 4 of them coming into the team straight away.
Sure.
I can only see one coming in, and I don't think it's going to be Beard. I think it's going to be Nwaneri next season. I can see Duberry going out on loan. Beard is a good striker. He's been scoring goals. He was scoring goals for the under-21 at Balogun. It would be great to have him there for a couple of Carabao Cup games, or maybe even on the bench. But I don't think he'd want to stay and just be on the bench and never play. I think he'd want to keep on progressing. So there's no problems with taking a player to a third loan. We did it with Saliba. Take him to another loan. Let's see if he goes to take him to Italy this time or Spain. If he goes and scores 15 goals, then you're like, okay, let's bring back Breath next season. But at this particular moment, I don't know if you're supposed to be speaking. It's great to give a youngster an opportunity, but I don't think as of now, we are trying to get to 95 points. I don't think this is the time to say, okay, let's bring Walters to the lineup. It's too much pressure anyway. It's too much pressure. We're looking for someone who's going to take us to the next level completely. Right now, my worry is not whether Beard is going to play or Obi is going to come to the team right now. That's not my worry at all. My worry is, can we go to the next level again and keep on competing with Man City? Would you be happy if Beard started in the Champions League against Mbappe and Vinicius?
I'm absolutely over that delusion stage as an Arsenal fan. Where in the past, I wanted Arsenal to play Chuba Akpom up top over signing Lacazette and over signing Aubameyang.
Benedict Afobe. There was a Fobe as well.
And Benica Fobe. I'm past that stage. I'm past that stage. Calvin says, tell Gabriel Jesus to play as a team is good on the wings. John the Baptist says Jesus is good on the wing as well. Calvin says, I think no to Zaxi. Dash says Gyokerez has had a knee surgery, so definitely we are not going to sign him. Arsenal will feel skeptical. Richard says no to Zaxi. Calvin says Jesus is good, but his problem is like overcarrying of the ball. Okay, I mean that is that is something that many people didn't like, especially in the Southampton game when we were looking for a decider. Most of you want Gyokerez. I'm looking at Leonard. You want Gyokerez. Justice says to me, it's no to Gyokerez actually. So Justice doesn't want Gyokerez. Robert says a big no to Zaxi. Justice says I wanted Sesko, but since he isn't coming, let's go for Osimhen or Solanke. Interesting. Dash says you was sure about Sesko.
That's a lie, though. I can tell you that's a lie because over the last 1 week, because he has said that Sesko is going to stay at Leipzig.
I think I'm one of the few people who have been saying if it's taking too long, then Leipzig have a bigger chance. Emmanuel says no. Monday says Jesus is better than Zaxi. Definitely is done it. So a couple of no's here. John the Baptist, no. Asibo, no. Ayo says no. Adebayo says no. And a couple of you. How far is Sesko to Arsenal? The deal is off, like we have said. A call says, good evening, Cossy and Glenn. For sure, I don't want Arsenal to sign Zaxi. And of course, a couple of other comments. So, Glenn, lastly, Santiago Jimenez, one of the players that someone has suggested in the comments that Arsenal should look at Santiago Jimenez. I've not had a lot of time to watch him, right? Do you think he would fit?
I watched him 2 seasons ago when they're in the
Okay.
Champions League. I followed him that season. Last season, I didn't really follow him that closely. He scores goals. That 2 seasons ago, you're scoring a lot of goals. Even in the Champions League, he was looking great. I mean, if there's no other option, then you'd go for him. I'm actually surprised that there's not too many teams that have said they wanted him since last season. I thought he was going to be one of those players that would have been in a lot of people's, raid, and a lot of teams would have wanted him. But you just never know. For us fans, we look at it and like, why can't we go for this? But then, there's millions of teams that don't want him. Why haven't they gone for him? So it's a lot that you have to look at. Does he fit into the team? I think he's great in terms of aerial stuff, crosses and all that. That would be great for us. But I'm looking for someone to take us to the complete next level. If you're asking me, Jimenez, is he really coming to directly replace Havertz and have Havertz on the bench? I don't know.
Now, I have 2 comments that don't really, or actually, I run 3 comments that don't really make any sense, right? Especially in light of the last 2 seasons. The first one comes in from Bedell, and he says, this Arsenal transfer news has started again. You guys need to slow down with whatever Arsenal is planning in the background to avoid competition. Don't have a problem with that. 100% good opinion. Then he says, we are not too good for competing for players. We are not too good to compete with players. What I don't understand about the comment is, right now in Europe, if Arsenal stood with Man City and they said we wanted rice and we won the rice race, right now in Europe, if Arsenal stood with 5 clubs, how many clubs would actually beat us to a player? I think there's this kind of nostalgia coming from the past. People thinking, Arsenal are Arsenal. I think you people are still watching the Arsene Wenger era. And this comes from the fact that you're not following what is going on in terms of management. You're just following what's going on in terms of the pitch. Arsenal have not won a trophy, maybe Premier League or Champions League, and therefore that's all you care about. But when you look at the changes that have happened in terms of management, when you look at how Arsenal paying players these days, to attract players, it takes more than just bidding for them. How much are you gonna pay for them? Pay them in terms of wages. Kai Havertz is on 200 plus a week. Saka 200 plus a week. Jesus 200 plus a week. Partey 200 plus a week. Odegaard the same. Like when a player looks at that and they're like, I can go to this club and they can really manage my wages well. They can pay me well. And then you look at the project. Where are Arsenal going? Do they have a direction? Do they have a sense of direction? Glenn, I just don't understand when people say Arsenal are not good. Like, it's like they've just missed the last 3 years of this club or the last 2 years. Like, they've just not noticed it.
It makes me so sad. It makes me so
As
sad.
well,
Sometimes,
I mean, for me, it makes me angry. Actually, it makes me angry.
Sometimes I don't even want to get online because of that.
Honestly, like it skips me 100%. I just don't think Arsenal are not good enough. If anyone thinks Arsenal are not good to compete with players, yes, maybe Jude Bellingham with Real Madrid, he might want Madrid, right? But again, how many clubs are going to compete with Madrid for Jude Bellingham? Even if you're Man City, I think Madrid have a bigger advantage over you when it comes to a player. Maybe Man City, right? But again, we have went with Man City 1v1 and we have beaten them to a signing. So for me, no. I'm not taking that. Second one says Arsenal are just unserious. I'm sure they can't even sign a striker and we can't win the title without a new striker. The unseriousness, explain the unseriousness, honestly, right? Explain the unseriousness. How is a club that have spent 100 million on Declan Rice, 50 million on Benjamin White, built a defense that conceded less than 30 goals last season? How many clean sheets did we have? How many goals did we score? We got to how many points did we get to? Like, we had more. I just don't get it. Like, I really, really don't get it. We were very close to the invisible season, right? We were very close
Mhm.
to the invisible season in terms of numbers. How are we unserious? How are we unserious? Yet we are one of the clubs in the last 2 years, 3 years to go in the first 2 months of the window, and we have stipulated our targets, and we've got them, and they have preseason, and they've had an impact. We don't even have. We don't even have uh, signings flopping anymore. Like, when you think about the ratio of success to failure in terms of signings, they're actually, I just don't understand it. Like, I think a Manchester United fan would kill to have what Arsenal have right now. A Chelsea fan would kill to have what Arsenal have right now. A Tottenham fan will kill to have what Arsenal right now. And somehow we don't appreciate it. I'm so bored of
It
this. I'm
annoys me
really, really bored.
because I've also seen people saying Arteta is not serious. We are never serious in the transfer window. That is a lie.
It's a lie.
Come on, that is a lie. The last 2 seasons, Arsenal is the team that has gotten the quickest signings. I thought people would actually learn from the Declan Rice one because I still remember there was a lot of people attacking me in the comments saying you're very silly if you think Declan Rice is going to join
It's
Man
gonna
City
sign
over
for you,
Arsenal.
yeah.
It's Arsenal over Man City. That's never going to happen. It happened. I thought people now from the next transfer windows, people will be a little bit patient. The transfer window is not open, by the way. I thought people will be a little bit patient for a couple of weeks. It's not like Man City have bought a 100 million player already. It's not like Liverpool have already bought 2 players and Chelsea have already bought 3 players. And, is it because Madrid have signed Mbappe? So you feel like Arsenal should also get someone straight away? Madrid is probably the best team in the world. You're going to struggle to compete with players with them, any team in the world. So we are able to get signings quickly. People complained about Declan Rice. People say Declan Rice, we overpaid for him.
Yeah.
That was wrong. People said Havertz is not going to get even 5 goals this season. He got that.
Top
He got
scorer.
20 plus goal contributions for the team. So I thought people would at least give it time until July and see what is going to happen. Because I guess it's just Arsenal fans. Arsenal fans are used to all that. Even if we signed Mbappe tomorrow, next some people will still be like, Arteta is not serious in the transfer window. So
I mean, Sulaiman makes a very good point. Says, because some of those comments are not from Arsenal fans, nor did they watch Arsenal. Yeah, honestly, I don't
some of
think
them
someone
are
who has
actually
watched
from
Arsenal
Arsenal
for
fans.
two consecutive years can comment that Arsenal are not serious.
Yeah, I don't know what we'd want to happen.
Yeah.
So sack Arteta and bring who, and then which players do you want us to sign?
Which players do you want?
That's
Honestly,
what, because it doesn't necessarily mean if Arteta do or not at Arsenal right now, we're all of a sudden going to spend 200 million on a
200
signing.
million, yeah.
That is not going to happen.
Yeah. And lastly, Ivan from Chisoro says players hate us. Players hate us. Like, that is the laziest comment you could put in my comment section. Players hate Arsenal. How? Like, why? If this is a comment, I'm telling you, this is a comment that has been sent with a 2G network connection, and this comment was sent 9 years ago. It has just reached today. Because 9 years ago, I will tell you that Higuain wouldn't join Arsenal, that Benzema wouldn't join Arsenal. I agree. But right now, players hate Arsenal. Like, if we went and said, Osimhen, come to Arsenal, personal terms, like all the players we've been linked with, just remember, Fabrizio, that famous line, personal terms never in doubt, personal terms never a problem. Like, players want to be part of this project. So players don't hate Arsenal. And that makes the end of the Cossy and Glenn podcast for today. It's been a very, very interesting one. I loved it. I really, really, really did. Glenn, thank you so much for coming on. It's a crazy day, but I think things will settle down. Catch me tomorrow, exactly on the Glenn Kitely Everything Arsenal channel with my boy Glenn. Of course, we'll be having another episode of the podcast, and we'll be back tomorrow same time. Good night.